Last thing, I think we were just talking about your boy Will Smith. Just continues to dominate.
My favorite.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this over the last year or so a lot, and, you know, I think the big question is, why is a 51-year-old going so hard on Instagram and TikTok? I mean, he's really stepped his game up. I think he launched Instagram about 18 months ago, definitely not more than 2 years ago. He has 41 million followers. He just launched TikTok. He's already amassed 12.4 million followers on that platform. And he does a lot of like interesting social content. He's doing a lot of fun cinemagraphs and GIFs and different pieces of like really engaging content on Instagram. He's partnering with a lot of content makers. He's taking selfies with vloggers and some TikTok and Instagram influencers. And again, why is Will Smith, a guy that's made well over $100 million in his career and just really a global superstar in the box office, why is he doing that? And I think the answer that I've always said is because he doesn't want to be irrelevant. I mean, this is a perfect example of why it's important for the naysayers to pay attention to what guys like Will Smith are doing, because he understands this is where all the eyeballs are. He understands everybody has a phone in their pocket. Will, I was watching, LeBron and his wife show up to one of his son's games. That was the one at St. Mary's, I think. And it was just amazing. I mean, I know this to be true, but to see it in a video, LeBron walks from backstage or what have you, the locker room, and walks onto the court. And there's 10,000 people. Every single human in that stands had their phone out recording LeBron walking into the arena. And it's amazing how now when you walk into a sporting event, you just have 20,000 plus photojournalists that are recording every moment of that event. And again, this is how we now consume information. This is how we, interact with each other. This is how we're getting our news. Everything really, I think, is social, digital, app, iPhone. So, Will Smith has always been super calculated on his career. When you look at his movie career in the box office, for a period of time, he did like 6 straight extraterrestrial alien movies. When you look at Independence Day, Men in Black, the reason he was doing that is he knew that that was just a genre that was really, really popping off at the time. And if he did those movies, he guaranteed himself 100 million plus at the box office. So Will Smith and that family has always been so well calculated with their business and what they choose to do and what the market is showing them. So the fact that Will Smith has been so heavy on Instagram and has been first to market on a TikTok and amassed all these followers, it really shows you where we're going and where we currently are, in my opinion. And if a guy like that at 51 years old, with all the success he's had in his career, is choosing to make this such a big part of his day, I think that shows you exactly where everything is going.
And I think to his credit, if you were to ask, some kids in high school now, hey, who is this? They say, oh, he's like a TikTok guy. He's an Instagram influencer.
100%.
He's hilarious. But they wouldn't know that he's one of the best actors of all time.
The 30-year-old remembers him from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and remembers him for Men in Black. The 14-year-old has no idea what that is, or they didn't grow up on that. So how do you continue to stay relevant is the number one thing. And, being a box office superstar as well may not hold the same weight either. Being a movie star, right, where less people are going to the movies and things like that, being a social influencer is now rivaling that of, like who's bigger, Kylie Jenner or Leonardo DiCaprio? I mean, you're talking about an influencer of sorts, a social media person versus a global box office superstar, but one can probably argue that the Q rating is probably higher on the Kylie Jenner side, right? So that's, I think, if you want relevance and you want fandom and you want people to pay attention to what you're doing, and listen, these guys like Kevin Hart, The Rock, they understand that they can get a lot more money on their movie contracts if they include social media promotion and include the audience that they've amassed as well. So it's a guy that I think, that's always been calculated with his career, and the fact that he's taken this so seriously and producing so much new, innovative, awesome content on his social, I think really shows exactly where we are in this space today.
Well, and if you're his, he has obviously a very smart team working with him, but you can do what, maybe 5-6 movies a year and a TV show and you'd be maxed out. Or you can go to Instagram and TikTok and build up your following, get sponsorship. The rapper DaBaby actually today just tweeted.
DaBaby?
Yeah, he said, I actually am not a huge fan of social media, and if it wasn't for such like a lucrative thing in my life, I wouldn't be on it because I think it's
Exactly.
kind of a negative thing. But he realizes, yeah, I can just hop on
And
one
we
of these
talk about this on
platforms and
the
make
show
money.
too. Like even the athlete or the talent, if you're a big enough name and you don't like social media, it's just even for the fact of doing good. I mentioned with Kawhi Leonard, he's not the social media influencer type of guy, but he can do so much good by amassing a following, by having that audience to tap into. And whether it's raising money for the wildfires in Australia, whether it's raising money for cancer research, at the very least, I think it's important to build that following if you have the name cachet, because you can just do so much good